Jeff's Superscript is brought to you by Black Cat Comics and Collectibles, in my opinion, the best comic shop and clubhouse on the internet. Follow them at Black Cat Burbank on Instagram and join their claim sales on Tuesdays for new books and Fridays for back issues. And don't forget to ask about joining their Stray Cats Club for special perks.
Hi, I'm Jeff, and welcome to another one of my videos where I take a look at all the new comic books coming out on either May 4th or 5th, 2021. And I ask myself the question, what one new comic book would I buy this week if I could buy just one book? Happy Star Wars Day and Cinco de Mayo to you if you celebrate both or either of these holidays. Last week's video was a little bit long, so sorry about that. I had a lot to say last week. I kind of got on my soapbox. I appreciate those of you that watched it and gave it a like. So I'm going to try to jump right into the content of this week's video to hopefully make this video much shorter. Let's start off by taking a look back 2 weeks to my pick from 2 weeks ago, which was Way of X. And the question is, was this a worthy pick to be my just one book pick of the week? And the answer is yes. Yeah, I liked it. It was a weird week, like I mentioned in that video. There wasn't really anything that popped out at me and said, yes, Jeff, this is absolutely the book you're most excited about this week. And I ended up choosing Way of X because it sounded interesting and I like the X-Men a lot. But then I read it and I'm glad that it was my pick. I really enjoyed it. It asked some questions that I thought were really, really interesting about what's going on in mutant society right now. The fact that mutants can resurrect themselves apparently indefinitely, thanks to Krakoa, is an interesting thing in how it is influencing their culture as mutants, how they see the world, how they behave in the world. You know, there's a backlog of people being resurrected. Why are some people being resurrected right away and others are not? And how is that going to influence the mutant culture? It asked a lot of, like I said, really interesting philosophical questions about how this mechanic in their society is going to impact them. Now, this isn't the most exciting, the most adventurous, the most like ass-kicking, story description that I could ever imagine, but it was thought-provoking, and I really enjoyed it for that reason. In addition, at the very end of the issue, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but a character showed up who is a character that I think is just underused and so awesome and so cool, and I really appreciated that this character made an appearance at the end of this issue, and I'm really interested to see how they are going to use this character in this storyline. So yes, I really, really enjoyed it. I would recommend it to anybody, especially X-Men fans. Non-X-Men fans might be a lot less interested, and if you're just jumping in and you're unfamiliar with what's going on in the world of X-Men right now, it might be a little kind of like, wait, what? But if you're an X-Men fan at all, I highly recommend it for you. I will absolutely be continuing to read this for the time being. All right, let's go ahead and move forward with the next section of this video, which is my cover pick for this week. And my cover pick for this week is Heroes Reborn #1, this cover by Archer, Stanley Lau. Wow, this is really, really good. This image I saw weeks and weeks and weeks ago, and I was like, what is that? What book is that for? What is going on here? Now, of course, naturally, at first you're like, man, that's a really great Wonder Woman. But it's not Wonder Woman. She is a member of the Squadron Supreme. I don't know her name. Yeah, she looks a lot like Wonder Woman, and yeah, she probably is basically a Wonder Woman ripoff, but I don't care. Archer did an amazing job with this cover. This character looks so powerful, so strong, so beautiful, so well rendered, and with the pose and the lighting. Archer and other artists like Inyuk Lee, for example, they do this really good job, sometimes more than others, but in general, they do this really good job making their subject look really lifelike. But they're not. If you look carefully, you can see the brushstrokes in there. And these artists use those brushstrokes to help create texture, and that just adds to the vividness and the reality, looking aspects of these characters. This is a fantastic art. I'm a big fan of it. I'm absolutely going to be picking this up this week. All right, let's move forward with the last part of this video, which is where I feature the 6 books that most interest me that are coming out this week. One of them will be my just one book pick for this week. These six books that I'm about to list are presented to you in no particular order, except, of course, for the last one, which is my pick of the week. The first book I want to mention to you is a book called The Good Asian. This is from Image Comics. This is issue number 1 of a 9-issue limited series. Here is the description. Writer Pornsak Pichetshote's long-awaited follow-up to the critically acclaimed Infidel with stunning art by Alexandre Tefenkji. Sorry, names. Following Edison Hark, a haunted, self-loathing Chinese-American detective on the trail of a killer in 1936 Chinatown, The Good Asian is Chinatown noir, starring the first generation of Americans to come of the age under an immigration ban, the Chinese, as they're besieged by rampant murders, abusive police, and a world that seemingly never changes. There are 3 quotes from 3 people here. I will read one of them, which reads, Edison Hark immediately joins the ranks of Philip Marlowe and Sam Spade in a smart, classic noir drenched in style and history. From my guy, James Tynion IV, that quote. This book sounds really interesting. It could be really, really good. The detective noir story is so classic, it's practically cliche. So if you are into noir detective stories, this could be a really good one for you, especially since it has a little bit of a twist on it, in that it's a little bit focused on a Chinese-American main character in the Chinese-American community. So this could be interesting. There's probably, some political bit of a component to it, but ultimately it's just going to boil down to what appears to be a murder mystery. Could be really interesting, could be really cool. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, you might consider checking it out. The next book I'm going to mention to you was a book I just mentioned with my cover pick. It is Heroes Reborn from Marvel Comics. This is issue 1 of 7. I believe they're coming out once every week for the next 7 weeks, in addition to all the tie-ins. Here's the description. A world without Avengers. Welcome to a world where Tony Stark never built an Iron Man armor, where Thor is a hard-drinking atheist who despises hammers, where Wakanda is dismissed as a myth, and where Captain America was never found in the ice because there were no Avengers to find him. Instead, this world has always been protected by the Earth's mightiest heroes, the Squadron Supreme of America. And now, the Squadron faces an attack from some of their fiercest enemies like Dr. Juggernaut, the Black Skull, the Silver Witch, and Thanos with his Infinity Rings. But why is the Daywalker Blade the one man alive who seems to remember that the entire world has somehow been reborn? Yeah, there's the title. I gotta say, when I first heard about this title, I was like, what is this? This just seems like another tie-in event from Marvel. It seems like as soon as one ends, another one begins. I don't know why I should care about this. It's kind of in the what-if territory. It wasn't really making me interested from a spec potential. But then I started getting more and more information about this title and reading more and more about this and the tie-ins, and I got more and more interested. Yeah, I still don't think it has any spec potential, but I do think it has some potential for some really great storytelling. If you watch all these videos, you know I'm a fan of what-if type storytelling. And this is kind of in the what-if scenario. What if this had happened? How is this going to affect these characters? How is it going to change their behaviors? How are they going to exist in a world that is different from the one where we standardly understand they come from? This could be a lot of fun and really entertaining, and like I said, open the door to some really creative and awesome storytelling. So I am looking forward to reading all 7 issues of this Heroes Reborn series But then I'm also seriously considering picking up some of the tie-ins as well. Some of the tie-ins look pretty interesting. You might be interested as well. The next book I want to mention to you is Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters, Alpha, number 1. I don't know if it's Alpha, if it has a number, if it's just Alpha and it doesn't have a number 1 issue. In Previews World it says Alpha number 1, but on the cover here, as you see, there is no issue number. It just says Alpha. So I don't know if this is the beginning of something like, you know, a new series. I'm still a little sketchy on the details, but I am interested. Here is the description. It says, the Star Wars comic event you've been waiting for. The notorious bounty hunter Boba Fett has finally landed his greatest prize, Han Solo, frozen in carbonite for easy transport. Fett will bring the smuggler to Tatooine to collect the massive bounty placed on Solo's head by the fearsome crime lord Jabba the Hutt. Sounds easy. What could go wrong? Well, I'm sure something is going to go wrong, and it could be really interesting. We all know how it ends. I'm sure we've all seen the Empire Strikes Back. We've all seen the Return of the Jedi. So we know how Boba Fett gets Han Solo, you know, encased in carbonite. We all know what happens. He delivers him to Jabba, so he gets there in the end. But what happened in between? Apparently, this is going to tell us that story, and that could be pretty cool and pretty interesting. Bounty hunters are super hot now, especially ones wearing Mandalorian armor right now, thanks to a little television show on Disney+. So this could be a very cool, very interesting read to check out. There's the basic version of it, but then there's also this version, which is Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters Director's Cut. It basically says, the description says, this year's blockbuster Star Wars comic event in director's cut form. Boba Fett will stop at nothing to get the job done. Transporting his latest, greatest bounty, Han Solo, should be an easy payday, but there's one problem, a big one, and someone is going to pay for it. Experience Charles Soule's epic, space-shattering story in director's cut format, complete with Steve McNiven's mind-blowing black and white art and more incredible bonus features. I'm going to have to flip through both versions of this to know for sure which one I want. One is going for $3.99 or $4, you know, basically. And one is going for $5.99, an extra $2 or basically $6. That's a pretty big swing, but if there's enough interesting and cool content in the director's cut, I'm going to go with that. That seems like it could be pretty cool. I also am not clear if the director's cut is not going to be colored and the regular version is going to be colored. This is another thing I am going to have to check out. If there's anything spec-wise of value in this book, I bet you the director's cut is going to be the way to go because there's probably going to be fewer of those. But you're going to have to decide for yourself which way to go. Like I said, I think I'm going to crack both of them open. I'm going to take a peek at both of them, and that will help me make my final decision. In a worst case scenario, you buy them both. I generally hate that piece of advice because it's so just throw money at the problem, but it is an option that you will have. The next book that I want to mention to you is an interesting one. It's a book called Extraordinary. It's number 0 from Titan Comics. Here is the description. Brand new series expands deeper into the world of Schwab's, the writer, critically acclaimed novels Vicious and Vengeful. Set in the years between Vicious and Vengeful, Extraordinary follows a teenage girl named Charlotte Tills who survives a bus crash and becomes EO, Extraordinary, gaining the ability to see people's deaths in reflective surfaces. Entertainment Weekly's 27 female authors who rule sci-fi and fantasy right now. Well, when I first read the description for this sounded interesting to me. I was like, well, that's kind of a cool thing. And I actually did a little research on this author, and yes, she wrote these two novels, Vicious and Vengeful. They're basically superhero novels about people having near-death experiences and that giving them extraordinary powers. And the kind of the fallout of all of that. And this is in that world and takes place between the two novels that she's written. All this sounded really cool and really interesting. I liked this cover image. I was really like on the edge, but of course, as always, I'm really trying to avoid picking up new books if I can at all. But then there was something that happened that I noticed that just sealed the deal for me. This comic book is $1. For $1, you can just try it out. It looks cool, it sounds cool. You pay $1, you try it out. If you don't like it, you throw it in the PC. You know, this might be the first appearance of some characters in a world that might end up seeing the light of day, being optioned in some way, shape, or form at some point. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe not. But for $1, you can roll the dice on what sounds like something that could be pretty interesting. So for $1, I'm all in, and I am going to definitely check it out. I'm looking forward to reading it and seeing what this has to offer. All right, let's move on to the next section of this video, which is going to bring the return of one of all of our favorite features. I know it's one of my favorite features. It's Tynan Time. Yes, folks, the triumphant return of Tynan Time. It's been a while. We've talked about James Tynan IV and books that he puts out, but I haven't done an official Tynan Time in a little while, and I thought, no better time than now. This week in Tynan Time, I first want to mention to you a book that's coming out. It is Wind #6. Yes, from Boom Studios. Here's the description. James Tynan IV and Michael Dialynis's hit series returns as Wind, Oakley, Thorn, and Yorick take the next step in their dangerous quest. But what is the secret behind Wind's terrifying visions? Meanwhile, back in Pipetown, the dying King Yosar does the unthinkable in his attempt to bring Yorick home, letting vampires into the city for the first time in generations. All right, so quick backstory. Wind was scheduled to come out in 2020 as a trade paperback. The entire story all in one collected edition. But I think it was because of the pandemic, they made a decision to break it up, to kind of like help out comic book shops, to break it up into 5 individual issues. I picked them up. I really enjoyed them. Wind is kind of a nice story about, it's a fantasy tale, basically about self-acceptance. Is what I would boil it down to. I thought it was really, the stakes were really high. I thought it was really well told. I thought the art style was really great. I think it's something that would be a good story to give to young people, because young people might have a difficult time with self-acceptance in some situations. And there are maybe some adults in a similar situation as well. So I really liked it. I think people are sleeping on this story big time. James Tynan IV is a massive hit. Everything he touches is doing really well these days. And this is one of the things that he has worked on that people have just not really paying that much attention to. I know a guy that was like, if you have any interest in Wind, buy Wind stuff up and buy it up now while people are still sleeping on it, because he seems to think, and I agree, that I think that this story, as with many things James Tynan IV, it will have a life outside of comic books. And I am so excited to see the return of Wind. It's been gone for several months, and now it's coming back with this basically new story arc with issue #6. I'm really excited about it, and I can't wait to check it out. But that brings me to my last book of the day. And this book is my just one book pick. So the one book that I would buy this week, if I could buy just one book, would be Batman 108 from DC. Here's the description. Batman goes undercover to infiltrate the transhumist gang known as the Unsanity Collective and learn more about their sudden appearance in Gotham and what nefarious plans does Simon Saint have for Arkham Day survivor Sean Mahoney. How does it connect to the Magistrate? And in part 2 of the action-packed, bone-rattling Ghostmaker backup story, can our hero stand up to the horror of Kid Kawaii? Plus, don't miss the debut of the mysterious Miracle Molly. I could end this video right now, and I probably won't have much to say about this Batman 108 because the words Miracle Molly is really all you need to hear. But you throw in how awesome Batman is as a character, you throw in how incredible James Tynion IV has been with his storytelling on Batman, you throw in how fantastic the art from Jorge Jimenez is in this Batman title. This title right now is firing on all cylinders. And I think with the first full appearance of Miracle Molly in this comic book, this is one that is going to be picked up, and it's going to be picked up a lot. Now, Miracle Molly is not going to be a punchline. Batman 89, for example, came out, and it blew up to like $40 the same day that it came out, or the day after it came out. This book is not going to do that at all. Punchline had the connection to the Joker, which is obviously going to give that character a little bit of extra weight. Also, people were not fully anticipating the first appearance of this new Joker-related character in Punchline. So they slept on it a bit, and they didn't know it was coming out, and they didn't scoop it up. I have been hearing about Miracle Molly for, I guess, 4 months now, since James Tynion mentioned her in his newsletter that he put out toward the end of the year. So Miracle Molly is no surprise to anybody. Everybody knew that her first cameo was going to be in Batman 106. People scooped up that book for that reason, and people are fully preparing for her first full appearance in this issue, Batman 108. There are buku store exclusives out there. Miracle Molly's, cover, like she's on the cover of all these store exclusives. She's on every cover that's, I only have the 2 that I'm showing here today because I tend to not show you the store exclusives or the 1 in 25s. I'd like to show you the covers that you should be able to go into the store and buy for cover price. She's just everywhere. Her image is everywhere. So there is going to be a boatload of them out there, and plenty of people are going to have their hands on this comic. I still think, though, depending on what James Tynion IV ends up doing with this character, that there's still a lot of, this character has legs and a lot of potential. And so I'm going to pick up 2 of the A cover and 2 of the B cover. I'm not going really, really big on it, but I am going to have an extra in my back pocket. I don't expect it to be as valuable as, like I said, a Batman 89, but I do think it does have the potential to be valuable down the line. And also, once again, this Art Germ cover that you're looking at right here, Art Germ is fantastic. This Art Germ cover is a wonderful compliment to anybody that might have the Batman 92 Punchline cover that he did. I think that these 2 covers would look fantastic together. So this one might be one that you consider picking up, especially if you like Punchline and you like James Tynion IV and you like the characters that he is creating. But anyways, for all of those reasons, my love for James Tynion, my love for Batman, my love for Jorge Jimenez, my love for spec properties, these are all the reasons why Batman 108 is my just one book pick for this week. All right, as always, if you appreciate me taking the time to pull out these different comic books and bring them to your attention and talk about them, likes are appreciated by me. So please, I invite you to go ahead and hit that like button below right now before you forget, before this video ends. In addition, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, here's my invitation to you to do so. And I have a lot of new subscribers. A lot of people, well, maybe not a lot, but I have a consistent trickling in of new subscribers. So I want to thank all of you who watch my videos, specifically my new subscribers. And once again, if you haven't subscribed already, hit the subscribe guy right here. He's a fun way to do it. But make sure you hit that notification bell as well, because I put out other random videos from time to time that I don't think you're going to want to miss. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.